Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bearcat Update. Today, I'll be updating you on how the seasons are looking for our fall sports. From a sit-down with Bearcat soccer head coach Marc Gordon to a look at a Bearcat Update exclusive interview. We got a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. Before we get started, we want to congratulate Northwest Missouri State head tennis coach Marc Rodewald. Rodewald was recently selected for induction into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, one of the state's highest honors. The 29-time MIAA Coach of the Year is the all-time winningest coach in Bearcat history, with 1,267 wins. Bearcat Update will have more on Rodewald and the tennis team next week. The soccer team has started their season 3-2 and will begin MIAA competition on Sunday with a road game against the 5-1 Northeastern State University Riverhawks. Last week, the soccer team split its two matches, securing a home victory against Southwest Baptist University, but then falling on the road to Oral Roberts University. The Bearcats will aim to bounce back as they face a challenging road game against a strong Northeastern State team. Northeastern State has had a hot start to their season, with only one loss coming from the University of Texas at Tyler. For more on soccer, our crew member Rayna was able to talk to head coach Marc Gordon about his journey to Northwest.
I'm Rayna Wozniak with Bearcat Update. Today I sat down with head coach Marc Gordon of the Northwest Missouri State University's women's soccer team.
So we want to know as much as we can about an opponent. Typically, though, we really want to focus on ourselves, and in the early part of the season especially, and it varies year to year based on players that are returning, new players, and then the combination of those two and how they're blending. The game plan typically is really focused on us, but if there's insight and pieces that we can give the players in preparation for who the opponent is, we'll spend some time in that area as well.
As a leader in a fast-paced world of collegiate athletics, this coach has a unique perspective on what it takes to be successful on and off the field. We dive into his journey, coaching, and plans for the future of this team.
So our approach, we have team captains. We utilize a leadership council. What I have found over the years of utilizing the leadership council is it's players that are part of the council that will eventually fill the captain's role. The Leadership Council is a representative from each class that will come together with the captains and the coaches. I think sometimes just going back to basics is encouragement, showing the details of what the breakdowns might be. And a lot of times when you review, it's really not as bad as you think. It may show on the scoreboard that way, but it's in the small detail sometimes. So stepping back and doing the fundamentals sometimes will help alleviate that. And then sometimes it's being able to, so to speak, flush that game and get prepared for the next game.
That was head coach Gordon giving us a behind-the-scenes looks at what it takes to lead a collegiate program.
I think obviously you want to win every game. I think sometimes your growth comes through suffering, and so recognizing through some of your suffering that you have successes that as you move forward, and then ultimately the development of the program, overall success, and that the players have enjoyed the season are what's going to bring success. I think just continued excitement and growth of the program. Came in and had a couple of opportunities to go to the national tournament for the players to get that feeling, and the athletic department embodies a championship mentality, and for the players that have helped grow the program and the new players now having that expectation and knowing that it is possible, it makes it exciting for me. And again, I said it before, I think the culture of the campus, not only the department, is a great environment to work in, and very blessed to be here.
With a strong focus of development, teamwork, and resilience, the future of this team looks incredibly bright. We'll be watching closely as they continue to grow and thrive. Back to you guys in the studio.
The volleyball team faced number 7 ranked Washburn on Friday, opening their MIAA play with a 4-set loss. The Ichabods took the match 25-11, 23-25, 25-16, and 25-15, using an aggressive offensive attack that featured 63 kills and a .329 hitting percentage. Northwest battled back to claim the second set, but couldn't quite keep the pace in the final 2 frames. On Saturday, Northwest dropped its second match of the weekend in a 3-0 sweep at Emporia State. The Hornets controlled most of the match, winning 25-19, 25-12, and 25-21. The Bearcats will return to Maryville for their first home match of the year, hosting Fort Hays State on Friday, and then number 6 Nebraska Kearney on Saturday at Bearcat Arena. For more on the volleyball team, our crew member Hanna talks with Ella Caffery about being named captain and the rest of the upcoming season.
Coming in to Bearcat Volleyball, one of the team captains, Ella Caffery, has had quite the journey.
My story starts as probably a 10-year-old girl. I was just playing volleyball for our youth team for my high school, Wilton. And then once I got to the age of 13, I started to play more competitively. Really looked up to a girl that was a couple years older than me, and she was doing that. So I decided I wanted to do that too. So I started with a club. And then when I got to about my 16s year, that's when recruiting starts and you can start talking to college coaches. And didn't have much my 16s year because that was when COVID started. So then going into 17s, I joined a more competitive team called Iowa Select, and I was playing on the Mizuno team. And starting in January, me and the assistant coach at the time got into contact and just started chatting. And she's like, "We want to get you on campus as soon as possible." So I came down for a visit. And then about a week after my visit, got an offer, and I think it took about 2 days to commit, and I'm so happy I did. The girls here are great, the coaching staff's great.
After 4 years here at Northwest, Caffery collected her 3rd consecutive all-tournament team accolade, and this is her thoughts on it.
It's good to be recognized, but also as a setter, you don't really get those if the people around you aren't performing, because you need a pass to be able to set, and then to be able to get assists, you have to get kills, which is all on the hitters. So I think it's great to be recognized, but I also think it just shows how well we're performing as a team right now.
Being a setter on a team can come with a lot of influence. Caffery determines what that has been like for her.
Yeah, I think it's great to feel pressure, it's a privilege. But I just try to be stable for my team. If I make an error, I come back right away with one. Just try to be as consistent as I can, and that comes through training. And the 4 years I've been here, I feel like that was something Coach and I have focused on a lot, is just being more consistent as a player and as a leader.
Following being a setter, as a senior team captain, there has been so much for her to learn. Caffery goes way more in depth on it.
Last year, I was also a captain with 2 fifth years, so got to learn a lot from them, just them being older than I am. And as I've been here for the whole 4 years, I've had great captains to learn from, and just a great experience. And then there's another captain, she's also a senior, my roommate, so it's great getting to do that with her. And then we have a junior, Gabby, and she's just a great addition as well, very mature, and I think we'd have a great dynamic between the 3 of us and do well leading the team.
As a captain, Caffery has helped to lead the team into a great start to their season. These are her thoughts on the beginning of their 2025 season.
I think it's been great. We've beat all the teams that we've needed to beat. We've had a couple losses, but I think we've learned from a lot of those. And going into this first weekend of conference this weekend, we're going to have 2 tough matchups with Washburn and Emporia. We always match up well with them. It's going to be 2 good games. And we're all super excited to be home next weekend. And I just think our preseason has given us confidence to go into conference strong.
And this has been Hannah Johnston with Bearcat Update. Back to you guys at the studio.
The football team had a dominant 38-16 home win over the number 15 ranked Central Oklahoma Broncos on Saturday. The Bearcats improved their record to 4-1 on the season and now lead the MIAA. The Bearcats racked up 409 total yards of offense, led by quarterback Chris Runke, who struck an early lead with the 54-yard touchdown run and finished the day with 3 total touchdowns. The Family Day victory marked the most complete performance by the Bearcats this season. The Bearcats remain undefeated at home against the Broncos, earning their first top 25 win under head coach John McMenamin. Northwest's MIAA leading rushing attack continued to impress, racking up 160 yards and 3 scores. The football team has now won 4 straight games and will return to action after a bye week, where they look to stay perfect in conference play. When we come back, Wiley Ray and Olivia Wallace will bring us more on the football team in another edition of Weekend Sports Report. We'll be right back.
Like the old saying goes,
out with the old, in with the new.
New Game Plus, your new place for everything video game
and tech related. With new wacky shenanigans
and new packs from your new crew.
So get ready, we're skipping the tutorial with this one.
So watch New Game Plus right here,
Tuesdays at noon on KNWT.
Welcome to the Weekend Sports Report. I'm Olivia Wallace. Let's get right into it. Cue the intro. Wiley, the Bearcats are currently on a 4-win streak, and they just beat Central Oklahoma 38-17. What is your opinions on that game?
Yeah, Olivia, really when you look at this game and you look at how the Bearcats played, the Bearcats looked night and day difference than what we saw them last year against UCO. And that was the real difference maker. That 38-16 win really helped the Bearcats excel, and Chris Runke looked like he was on another planet in yesterday's win against the Broncos. But really, let's talk a little bit more about Erwin Nash. Erwin Nash, 99 yards on the day, 5 receptions, and also led the Bearcats, unfortunately didn't have a touchdown on the day, but led the way for, Chris Runke to find himself with a touchdown, or even finding, Tashawn Porter or Quincy Torrey with some touchdowns of their own. Really, offense sharing the love on Family Day. They call the Bearcats family for a reason, and we definitely saw that here today as 7 receivers had received the pass. Nash led with 5 on the day for the Bearcat offense. But really, you just look at how that offense propelled themselves in that win. It really looked like the Bearcats we've known and loved in years past.
I really think that this game was Nash's breakout game with how his longest receiving yard, and he had 99 yards, and he's like, I just need that one more yard to get 100. And Nash, this really was his breakout game. He looked so good. He executed well. He ran the ball when we needed it, and he looked phenomenal. The whole team looked phenomenal. Between defense and offense, it clicked. Finally clicked, and I like it.
Yeah, when you talk about that defense, Olivia, you mentioned that defense, and defense really, they talk about defense wins championships. Defense really showed out here against the number 15 Broncos. And when you take a look at that game against UCO, Jackson Torrey, 4 tackles, and then Parker Bowen with 11 tackles, 1 sack, and an interception, which really, a lot of people look at this interception, and it was one where, it's kind of that, we'll talk about it later, but a lot of players give up on a play when they get beat. Not Parker Bowen. Bowen sat there and said, hey, cookies, it's mine, I'm going to take it, and we're going to get ourselves a big play. And that's really what the Bearcats did. Bearcats did a good job, as you saw, on defense of closing that pocket. And really, that's the defense. I just talked about the offense that we know and love. The defense really showed, the true Bearcat defense we know and we love. And that, you love to see that, especially on Family Weekend. When the family shows out, the Bearcats show out as well.
Even if it was so hot, the defense held UCO. So they held them. The Pack of Cats, they attacked. Those Pack of Cats attacked, I believe, 2 sacks, 3 sacks. Yep. That was impressive. And, despite it being hot, the crowd was every play, every flag, every snap of the ball, they were cheering. And it was just so refreshing to see, especially for Family Weekend, and also seeing Chad Boswick with that red hat. But what do you think Family Weekend means to you in reporting on Bearcat sports?
Yeah, Family Weekend, Olivia, simply, it obviously means family. Once a Bearcat, always a Bearcat. We always know that. We always love it. but really when you look at the family aspect for the Bearcats, that's, bringing everyone in, football, any sport really, I'm a big sports fan. Everyone here's a big sports fan for BCU, obviously. And that really just goes to show the family atmosphere. We come together as a family, we broadcast these games, we cover these games, we're on the sideline throwing jokes at each other, giving each other a hard time about the Bearcats. But really family is just, it's really embraced here in Maryville and Northwest. And we saw that today, and we really just saw the way, the fans interacted and everyone else interacted. And it's really an amazing thing to see, especially that, Coach Mac reviving that family aspect that we've, a lot of people seem to have thinking we forgot, but really it's always been there. And really, like I said, we saw it today. A lot of people, it was blackout. And so even though it was a warm one yesterday for the Bearcats really showed out in the fan base, and they made some noise. They were loud and proud for their team, and obviously helping them get the number 15 upset.
Yeah, I remember going to the press box and I saw a few red hats in the stands, and I love telling the story of that red hat and what I learned from it, and just seeing not just Bostwick, but also McMenamin with that red hat, and then the red on the cleats and the pads and the plate, like everything red. Just even though our colors are green and white, everyone was wearing red, and it felt so kind of nice to see, and in remembrance of Scott Bostwick.
Yeah, and you talk about it's nice to see, and that's one of the biggest things. It's a great tradition we have here at Northwest. And I'm a big tradition guy. We've talked a lot about my favorite things when it comes to sports, but tradition really is a big thing for these Bearcats. And to see them every year represent that red paw, that red hat for Bostwick, it truly is something to see. And it's really one of my favorite things that we have here at Northwest, just because it honors tradition, it honors family, and it shows that we honor those who were before us and those who, helped us pave the way to those 6 national championship dates sitting on Bearcat Stadium.
Power of the paw. That's what I like to say. Power of the paw.
Power of the paw.
For more on football's upcoming game against Central Missouri, our crew member Jackson Phelps gives us the Bearcat breakdown.
Welcome back to Bearcat Breakdown. I'm your host, Jackson Phelps, and this week we'll be taking a look into football's next matchup against Central Missouri. The Bearcats are back on the road and headed to Warrensburg to face conference rival UCM. Last year's matchup, the Bearcats fell to the Mules in a grudge match, losing 35-30. The Mules offense have been producing through the air and ranked number 1 in passing in the MIAA, and have some names that the Bearcats are going to need to look out for. The receiving duo of redshirt senior Jack Pospisil, where through his first few weeks he has 300+ receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, and redshirt sophomore Hogan Wasson, and through his last couple weeks he has 350+ receiving yards and a touchdown. The Mules have also been splitting quarterback reps between senior Jordan Paychot and redshirt freshman Donovan Omolo. The Bearcats secondary will have to come battle ready with the air raid Mules offense. Some names to watch out for the Bearcats are junior defensive back Antoine Jenkins Jr. Through his first few weeks has nabbed 2 interceptions against Texas A&M Kingsville and Missouri Southern. Another name to watch for is sophomore Holden Zigmont, who has been a key part of the secondary the last 2 years, and in the last few weeks he has had 15+ tackles and 3 pass breakups. The offense for the Bearcats have been on fire and ranked number 1 in scoring in the MIAA. And some names who have been key parts of that have been Dominic Myers, who leads the Cats in rushing with 230+ yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. The passing attack once again has found many Bearcats in the receiving column, where 16 receivers have found receptions. Transfer junior Erwin Nash leads the team in receiving with 140+ yards and 2 touchdowns. As well, paired up with last year's team leader in receiving, senior Luke Matthews, who has 120+ yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Looking how their defense matches up with our offense, the Mules rank 9th in the MIAA in defense and are going to be tested against a hot Northwest offense. The Mules defense is coached by most former Bearcat head coach Rich Wright, who now serves as the team's defensive coordinator. Some names to watch for are redshirt senior linebacker Garrett Horman, who leads the team in tackles, and paired with redshirt junior linebacker Drew Kaufman, who is 2nd in team tackles. Another edition of this great rivalry is set and has some familiar former Bearcats playing for the Mules. It will be another grudge match between the two and a high-scoring game. I think whichever secondary can step up will win this game. And once again, I'm going with the Bearcats, and it's because UCM's defense has not been all that great, ranked 2nd to last in the MIAA. I have the Bearcats winning by 3 and getting revenge from last year's loss. I'm Jackson Phelps, and this has been your Bearcat Breakdown.
we're going to shift it to my favorite segment. It's Ray's Plays and Highlights, where I break down 3 plays that helped the Bearcats be victorious against the Broncos in yesterday's win. Let's take a look at play number 1. And Olivia, we're going to start right off with my MVP of the day. It is Chris Ruhnke here with his 54-yard rushing touchdown. 58 yards on the day, 6 attempts, and the lone touchdown here by the captain, QB1. And as we take a deeper look into this one, let this play run out one more time just to show it off, show that speed. Ruhnke really, took the trailer off the hitches today. And let's take a deeper dive into this one. Stop right there for me. And this one, already you see Olivia, and I love this play. I'm a big lineman guy myself, and I mentioned that last week. I'll mention it again. Ruhnke sees the eyes downfield. He sees the defender right here, and he goes, hey, I could give it to Torrey, but instead I'm going to keep it because look at this gap right here. You could put a Big Mac through there. You could put a Mack truck. You can drive that thing right through. That's exactly what this offensive line did as well. They saw their defensive players. You got one here, you got another, you got a few, and they just go, hey, we're taking to the buses. It's time to go back to Edmond, and that's really the biggest thing that happened. And Olivia, as we let this play run out, wait, ring, 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 ring. What is that?
Ruhnke house call?
Yeah, I think that was a Ruhnke house call here. And let's take a look at play number 2, as this next one is another great play, another rushing touchdown for the Bearcats. This one was Quincy Torrey. And once again, Olivia, the Bearcat offensive line was on fire today. We saw that in play 1 with Ruhnke. They did a good job of blocking down, but this one, once again, red zone offense. And let's stop it right here for me. This one, perfect. I loved how this looks. And the reason why, like I said, lineman guy myself, he opens that gap, but Torrey does a good job. Eyes are at the prize. They're in the end zone. They're looking in the end zone. You can see it. Great angle here, nonetheless, by cat vision. They talk about cat vision, but they can even see where Torrey's going in the end zone. Torrey has his eyes are wide open, eyes wide open like Taylor Swift. As his linemen are pushing them away, they do a good job out here of piling them up. That's what they want to do, is they want to pile that defense right here at the goal line so they can allow Torrey to come in. And as we let this play wind out, it's beautiful. Nonetheless, beautiful play for the Bearcats. And this one really right here, if it wasn't for Ruhnke, Quincy Torrey would be my MVP of the game. And as we go into the third play, this one was one of the biggest plays for the Bearcats. And this one, they talk a lot about, don't give up on the play. And this one right here definitely didn't give up on the play, got beaten, and he found himself a great opportunity for a game-sealing interception.
And I really think this is Parker Bowen, by the way, guys. Parker Bowen is my pick for MVP this week. He had a few tackles, 11 tackles, I believe, on the game, which is astonishing to see. And just watching this play out, he saw where the QB was running, or QB was throwing. He locked eyes with where he was going. Okay, I'm gonna keep running. If you pause right here, oh, not a good shot, but you can get the gist. It slips his hands into Bowman's hands, and he takes it to the other side. If it was a 19-yard reception, but if he didn't stop, I think he would have took it to the house.
Oh yeah, you talk about that 19-yard interception, and if we let this play out, that's exactly what Bowen did. Bowen goes, hey, cookies, I got my ball. I'm going to take it to the house call. Like, can we get my own? Can we get a defensive play? And really, Olivia, that was the key to success today, is every aspect of the game worked. And one thing to note that we didn't show was how defense, the special teams for the Bearcats, they had a blocked punt. They gave up a blocked punt, but defense also did a really good job of holding true. And that's a lot of things we haven't seen from the past few years. The defense has been they've been more of a bend and tell break, where this weekend, they were a bend and no break defense. And that's one thing that we're going to see very successful for the Bearcats of the upcoming seasons as we move forward.
Yep, you did talk about the defensive side. We had 2-3 sacks on the day. They saw QB was wide open. He was in the pocket for about 5-6 seconds. I'm gonna sack him right here. So that was beautiful to see.
This has been Weekend Sports Report, and we'll be back in a week. Next up, we're gonna send it to John Rinehart as he breaks down the next week's Bearcat schedule. Take it away, John.
Who runs the world? Girls. With football being in a bye week, volleyball and soccer will be the only squads in action. For all that and more happening next week in Bearcat Sports, I'm John Rinehart. To kick off next week, soccer will be kicking off their home conference slate against the Central Oklahoma Broncos at 3 p.m. Northwest is coming into this week with a 3-2 record on the season and is well rested coming off an extended break after the Oral Roberts exhibition game on September 20th. Broncos are going to be a tough test to kick off the home conference schedule, with the Broncos taking the number 3 team in the country, Minnesota State, to a 0-0 draw to start off their own season, but also putting up a strong battle against number 7 Dallas Baptist before ultimately falling 3-0. Historically, Northwest has also struggled against the Broncos on the pitch, with an all-time record being 3 wins, 7 losses, and 2 draws, but have recently started to turn the all-time series back towards the Bearcats, in part with the help of star goalkeeper Lily Ellis, who's allowed 0 goals over 2 games against Central Oklahoma and has secured 15 saves. Lily and the Bearcats are now 3-0-1 against the Broncos in their last 4 matchups, and for that to continue, they'll have to find a way to slow down sophomore midfielder Jordan Tangs, who has 2 of Central Oklahoma's 7 goals on the season. Volleyball will also be in action on Friday, and they'll be taking on Fort Hays State at 6 p.m. to open up Bearcat Arena for conference play as well. Volleyball recently dropped their match away from home against number 7 in the country, Washburn, 3-1, and is getting a strong Fort Hays State squad coming into Friday 12-2. The Bearcat volleyball squad will have historical confidence going into this matchup against the Tigers, with an all-time record of 29-3, and most recently taking the last 17 straight matches and have only lost a combined 9 sets since their last loss. With that, Fort Hays State is having a volleyball resurgence in Kansas, and that's in big part to Ashlyn Reeves, who has the most kills for the Tigers with 129 and blocks with 43, both of which would be the most for the Bearcats. The challenge doesn't stop there for Bearcat volleyball, as on Saturday, Nebraska Kearney is coming to town. The Lopers are currently ranked number 4 in the country and are the sole reason the Bearcats ended their season earlier than hoped last season. The Bearcats are currently on a 6-match losing streak against the Lopers, and since the two have opened play against each other, Northwest has only won 3 of the 32 matchups, the last of which coming in 2022. Beating Nebraska Kearney, though, has proven to be a good omen for the Bearcats, with 2022 also being the last time Northwest had reached the NCAA tournament. For the Bearcats to have the best opportunity to take down the Lopers, they'll have to find a way to slow down outside hitter Carly Purdy, who with 150 kills this year leads the MIAA. Swinging back out now to the pitch, soccer will finish out the week against a Newman Jets team that, even with a short history, have had much better success against them than Central Oklahoma. Northwest is 6-2-1 against the Jets, and Margaret Madden will have to continue her own personal success against the Jets to finish out the week on a high note as a team. Madden herself had 2 goals in a win last year against Newman, and already to start off the year is leading the team with 3 goals. Despite Newman's slow start to the year, senior forward Delphine Sosu is doing everything she can to put the team on her back, with 5 goals and 1 assist, including 2 goals in the Jets' lone win this season against William Jewell in the inaugural game of the Jets' 2025 season. That's all that's happening next week in Bearcat sports. For Bearcat Update, I'm John Rinehart.
We're going to take our final break of the show now. If you like what you see, make sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to be first to know when we post new content. When we come back, our reporter Cayden Simpson brings us a Bearcat Update exclusive interview. We'll be right back.
Hayden, I don't know how he expects us to do all of this by ourselves.
Mallory, we can do this. That's why Noah asked us to host. He knows we can do it.
I know. It's just there's like so much to do. And
Hey!
Hey!
I just have some last minute notes for you guys. I'll see you guys soon.
Hayden! Topics to cover?
Check.
People to interview?
Check.
Locations to visit?
Check.
And my trip to Hawaii?
That's not on my list.
I'm joking.
Watch Staying Current Wednesdays at noon.
Welcome to KZLX-LP Maryville, an independent student-run station on the campus of Northwest Missouri State University. We play non-stop top 40 hits and offer a variety of different specialty shows. So tune in to KZLX 106.7.
Earlier this week, our reporter Cayden Simpson had the opportunity to talk with head football coach John McMenamin about his return to Northwest, the importance of family and culture in the locker room. Here's a sneak peek of that interview.
It's been 20 years since you were an athlete here at this school, and what does it mean to you to be back here as the head football coach?
20 years, you sure? Only a couple years ago, but really excited. I mean, it's been a special journey where you make a bunch of different stops, in your professional career, and you know, it's always kind of a bucket list item to come back here, you know, or to coach this, but there was always such great coaches and such great tradition. You know, everything's got to always time up right to, you know, get a head coaching job. And, you know, this one did. And I was grateful when it opened, and I got a call from Andy Peterson about it. And so it's been just been a fun ride. It means a lot to me, you know, just because it helped shape my life so much here. And, you know, I want to try and give back to now the student athletes here and, you know, keep making Northwest such a special place.
And you were on the back-to-back national champions back in 1998 and 1999. What specifically did you learn from those years on those championship teams that have led to the way you coach and the way you go about things today?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, from that team, you know, I really learned relationships matter. And I thought, you know, you said 20 years. I'm still great friends with all those coaches. You know, Coach Churchman, Coach Sabota, you know, the late, rest in peace, Scott Bostwick recruited me, Bart Tatum, Will Wagner, John Gustafson, all those guys that coached were here a long time. And so the loyalty, the longevity, and the relationship side that staff had with the players really made an impact on me. And then, you know, the way they interacted with the players, you know, it wasn't transactional. It was about, you know, not only winning and losing, but also, you know, graduating a champion. And so that carried over. And, you know, you kind of get here and you think that's just the way it is. And then you go to other schools, coaching stops, and it's definitely not the way it is. You know, you think Maryville, every college town's like that, and it's not. And so it really led me to appreciate how much it meant. I probably took it for granted, you know, when I was here, but it's definitely, you know, a blueprint that, you know, I've used to come back here, and the hiring of the right coaches, in my opinion, and then making sure that those relationships are fostered in growth. And, you know, hopefully, you know, over a few years we have some sustained success because of it.
Yeah, and you talked about culture being a big part of this team. You talked about how, you know, back when you were here, you know, you went to other schools and you felt like, you know, you kind of took it for granted, the culture here. How do you plan to continue building that culture with the athletes that come in and through this program?
Yeah, through our leadership, you know, we have a unity council that really has a couple of players from each grade, you know, that I really lean on. It'd be like my head coach cabinet, you know, of that, you know, when I need advice or help, you know, I talk to them, you know, and they help me make decisions. And, you know, I kind of use them as an olive branch to the locker.
To check out the full interview, go to KNWT on YouTube. As for us, that's all the time we have for today. I've been your host, Hayden Lavaley, and this has been Bearcat Update, the provider of complete coverage of Northwest sports. We are live every Sunday at 2, and you can find us on YouTube at KNWT TV. Along with Bearcat Update, you can watch KNWT's other content. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back in no time.